Hi guys, Professor Benson here. Hey, just wanted to post this. So I met on Friday at 10 a.m. and then at 12 p.m. to live stream about doing some of this stuff about Chapter 2. Those went relatively long, and I wanted to make sure, or wanted to see if I could do a more focused entry here about this data set for Class 2 that I will link, or at least in the video or in the email that I send out, I'll show you how to get it. But it was sent out in the announcement, but it will help you with Chapter 2 in getting ready. So I just wanted to make sure that you could, I just wanted to go over some things here, particularly about frequency, relative frequency, cumulative frequency, and cumulative relative frequency. And those are kind of complicated names for some simple terms. But in your version, this scores tab was over here at the end. I've just moved it here to the beginning because I wanted to make sure that this is where I want to start, because I've already built these sort of bins and this little table here. And I wanted to make sure we went through. So this is the closest to what the Chapter 2 test will ask you to do. And it's also, I feel like, the most useful. So I've got 36. No, this one I think is just 30 test scores here that range from like 3 to 15. And I want to, what we want to do and what the book's going to ask you to do is put them into bins. Okay, and so frequency here just means count, like how many are within each bin. Relative frequency, I'm going to go ahead and put this in as a comment. Anytime I see relative frequency, I'm thinking about a percentage. Okay, what percentage of the total fall within that bin? So I'm going to go ahead and type that in here as a comment. I'm going to click, then right click. You don't need to put this in, but I'm just going to type it in here so you always have it. That just says anytime I see the word relative here, it means a percentage. Okay, and then cumulative frequency means, I'll go ahead and insert a comment here. This is like your running total. This is your cumulative total or running total. Okay, like meaning how many have you done to date? So, or how many are below 9, and which would mean everything 3 up to 5, 5 up to 7, and 7 up to 9. Everything that would be included in that running total. And then cumulative relative frequency here is what percentage is that running total of the total. But I'll show that in a moment. I'm going to now go ahead and show hide comments so that I can now drag this here. Show hide comments. So I right clicked on those to get that, and then I can move them around. And the nice idea here is they're always visible. And if you wanted to go back, you just click hide comment, and now it only shows if I hover over the cell. So right click, show hide comments. Okay, so the first step says name these test results scores. And that's just because down here they're scores. So I'll do Control Shift down arrow or Command Shift down arrow. Go up to the name box and type in scores. Okay, don't include the header in this case. Now, if you do or you make a mistake, you just go up here to formulas, and on a PC you have name manager. On a Mac you just have the define name, but you just do name manager define name, and if I want to delete it or edit it, like I could just delete it. Okay, and then do it again and type in scores. Okay, I could also go in and edit. So now I've put the numbers here 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and so on. The bin means, or sorry, you'll notice here I've put it here as concatenate. I used to have people type this in, but it's here. You can copy and paste this into other ones. It just means you're taking whatever in the number in C7. Then you put the text up to, and I've got the space between it. Otherwise, it wouldn't put in a space between the numbers. And then D7 here in red. And that way, if I wanted to change the numbers, I could. Like I could make this 4 to 6, and it would automatically update if I wanted. Okay. And then to get the frequency, all I'm going to do is do a count. Well, we'll do this a couple ways. We're going to do a Countifs. And that's just because Countifs is a little funny, and I'll show you why. So Countifs means we can have 2 or more criteria, and I think you can put up to 16 criteria. You'd be nuts to do that, but that's what you can go up to. And so we want to say scores. So that's our criteria range, like where are we looking for these numbers? And then I want it to be, in this first one, I'm going to hard code in the number. So I'm going to put in quote greater than or equal to 3. And then I'm going to do scores, comma, and now I'm going to say quote less than 5. Oops. Less than 5. And hit enter. Okay. And there are 4 of them there. Oh, now you'll need to, I think on yours, this won't be sorted. If you want to go ahead and sort that, what you do is you just click anywhere here. And I'm just going to go up to data, sort, and I'm going to sort the scores. And it's taking this header here. It doesn't know my named range, and smallest to largest. So if I said largest to smallest, now they'll be that way. If I do sort smallest to largest, now they'll go small to large. Okay. It's not going to change the number here, but it makes it easy for me to see that there are 4 numbers here that are 3 up to 5. And I'm just going to put in a comment here that says 3 up to 5, quote, 3 up to 5 means greater than equal to 3, but less than 5. So it will not include 5. And in this case, that may not matter because there aren't any numbers that are exactly 5. But it's good practice. This is the way the book's going to test it, but it's also good practice. So if you had, employees here, you want something that's like 1 to 49 employees, and then 50 to 99 employees, and 100 to 199, like whatever your bins are. But you don't want, it's good practice to make sure that there's no overlap, so that if you have 50 employees, you're going to be in this bin right there. Whereas if you had 49, you're going to be in this other bin. And I just want to make sure you see, like you just want to do it that way. Same thing with an age. You want to put like 20 to 29, 30 to 39 years, 40 to 49, or 5-year, like whatever you want. But you just want to make sure that if you are 30 years old, that you go in this bin, that person gets coded into this bin, not this bin. Like if you said 20 to 30 and this was 30 to 40, you want to know where you put them and be consistent on it. Okay, so now we've got 3 up to 5. Now, normally we don't want to actually hard code these numbers in because we want to be able to change them, and I want to be able to copy and paste them down. The other thing is, just notice here, if I don't put, it's a funny nomenclature here. I would not expect this to need quotes, because when I see quotes, I expect Excel to be looking for that precise text, and it's not. So, but you'll notice if I miss one of these quotes, it'll get this error here, and so we need to go back now to, I need to go back here and fix it. And so let's see, I've got a quote there, and I've got 2 extra quotes right there. Okay, so now if I do it, I want to do is equal to Countifs equals Countifs. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is scores, okay, comma, and I'm going to do, now this is kind of tricky, or just not intuitive to me, but you'll do quote greater than equal to close quote, and now I'm going to put the ampersand. That's the sign, that's the number above, it's above the 7. Okay, and now I'm going to point it to cell C8 right here, comma, and I'm going to do scores, comma, and I'll do less than, so those are quote, less than, close quote, and I have to put the ampersand in to tell it that it is a cell I'm referring to, and I'm going to say less than D8. Okay, so there are 7 there, and if I click up in here in this formula, you'll notice it's saying greater than or equal to whatever this red cell, C8, but less than D8, and that's what we want. And that way, now I can just drag this down, and it's pointing to, like this one is pointing to these cells right there. Okay, Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to do, you can either go up to home and all the way to the right and do auto sum. And if your screen is, sometimes if your screen doesn't have enough room, Excel will abbreviate, like it'll get rid of that word and just put this sideways M, that summation sign. Or I can just type in is equal to sum. Okay, and I'm just going to add it up. Okay, and so there are 30 observations. Now, the other place where this can sometimes mess up, it won't here because our maximum is 14.2. But if this were 15, you'll notice it's now missing one because this is saying less than 15, not less than or equal to 15. So if you have like 100%, like if these were test scores like, out of 100 and 90 to 100, you might just say greater than or equal to 90, or you would need to put like less than or equal to that. And so then we would have the number. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 14.2 and change this formula back, but that's where that's going. Okay. Now relative frequency just says the percentage in that bin. And remember, percentage is just equal to like this 4 divided by 30. But again, I don't want to type in 30, and I've already done this as a percentage, but if it hadn't, like if it were a number, I would just click on this percentage here. This is on the home tab, and we'll do 1 decimal place. And then I need to put on a PC, I hit the F4 key, and I can toggle through the $sign. This there just means what do I want to be frozen, the row or the column or both. I'm going to freeze both. So you could also just type in the $signs, and on a Mac it is Command T as in toggle, I believe. I'll put it in the notes. And that way I can just drag it down, and then I'll auto sum here. And again, this may be as a number, and we'll just change it here to a percentage. So that obviously it should add up to 100%. What if you don't do so you notice here, if I go back and I toggle that to so that there's nothing, right, it's not frozen, then what'll happen is if I copy and paste that down, it'll give you this divided by 0 error, and that's because what's going on here is that so this is F7 divided by F13, but if I go to this one, it's dividing by what's in F14, and this one is dividing by what's in F15, and so that doesn't, it's moving, and so we don't want it to move. So I'm just going to go up here. I'll just type in the $signs. Really, I just don't want it to move from row 13, but I'm going to put both $signs in. Okay, and so now if I go ahead and slide that down, it'll add up to 100%. Okay, so I'm just summing up those numbers right there. Okay, so cumulative frequency. So the first one just says it's just going to be the first bin. So, 4 of them, I'm just going to set equal to F7 and hit enter. Okay. The next one, the running total said, well, I've got 4 in this bin and 7 in this bin. So I've got 11 total. So what I'm going to do is do equal to yesterday's total, so to speak, like if this were daily counts, plus now I'm going to do today's total, or, that first bin plus the second bin. And this one will be equal to the running total before plus how much I've done right now. And now I can just copy that down. And the number in this last row should be the same as my total, right? So, if this were like, how many got 40 to 50 on the test, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, and so on, I could do that 26 got below 13, right? And then cumulative relative frequency, again, anytime we hear relative, we're going to think the word percentage. And so this first one is going to be equal to this divided by 30, and I'll go ahead and hit F4 or put the $signs in. And so now I should have all the way down that 100% are, so this one should be to 30, this one should be to 100%. Okay, so they're a little bit offset from the original bin. So again, just to show you the formulas here, I'm adding up the one above it here in the blue. I'm adding H7 plus F8. And then this one just says it's that divided by the 30, which is the total. Okay. Then in step 3, I say, let's create a bar chart or a histogram. And this is really easy. All you do is, I'm just going to set right here. Well, let's see. We'll go right here. We're going to select the bin and the frequency. We're going to go up to insert. And we can either click this arrow here on the right, or I can just click recommended charts. And in this case, usually we're going to have to go to all charts and pick the chart that we want. In this case, Excel has actually picked the correct chart for us. We just want this one. So I'm going to hit OK. And now we've got, so we'll go ahead and rename this title. We'll call this Breakdown of Test Scores. Breakdown of Test Scores. Okay, and then the other sort of housekeeping thing, well, there's two more. I'll click on this outline and I'll go to, if you select the table or the chart, up here in Chart Tools, you can do Format, and we'll do the Shape Outline, and I always choose this one, okay? And then the other thing, and this is just a preference, is I'm going to right-click on these blue bars and say Format the Data Series, and I'm going to change the gap width. So right now the gap width is twice, 2.2 times the actual width of the bar itself, and I'm going to make it 50%, which just makes the bars wider. And this will help us, especially if we have to shrink this chart down. Okay, so now we've got a breakdown of the test scores. So here's our bins, and then on the vertical axis is the number of scores within that bin. Okay, and then I say use conditional formatting to create data bars. Data bars are they're going to be exactly the same as this bar chart. They're just horizontal, and I'll show you that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say this is equal to the frequency, and that's just to get it here. You can see I've already created it so that it is already there, but let me just go ahead and clear all. Okay, so I've got these numbers here. Okay, and so to do a conditional formatting is right here on the Home tab. Okay, and conditional formatting, we can have it highlight greater than a particular number. It can highlight something less or between if it contains certain text. Here I could do top 10, and this is like I could make this top 3 items if I wanted to by clicking down this number thing or just typing in the number 3. Okay, but the one we want, we're going to go up here to conditional formatting and do data bars, and I'm going to click on more rules. We're doing this one essentially. The reason the reason we're going to do more rules is I don't want the number in there, and so I'm going to just click on this that says show bar only, and you'll see I've got now this chart is just this one flipped sideways, right? But it's really easy. And it's really useful for lots of things. And you don't have to tell your boss that it's really easy, but I find them super useful for displaying numerical data. So you'll do the same thing here on the restaurant one, okay, and on the doctor's office. Okay. Okay, well, I hope that helps. Good luck, and I will talk with you soon. Thanks.